Welcome back, everybody. I'm James. He's Tyler, and this is Wonderfully Difficult.
All right. Welcome back. As you said, guess we'd like to start off today's episode with thanking everybody that took time out to view the episode. First off,
Yeah.
subscribe, like, share, comment.
We definitely got a lot more than we thought we were going to get. We appreciate everybody that checked us out. We appreciate everybody that's, getting involved on our social media pages, on our, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and obviously YouTube. So we appreciate y'all.
No doubt, much love. We didn't have really any expectations whenever we made this. We kind of just sat down and was like, man, but the love that we did get back, that was unexpected and
Yeah.
much appreciated.
There was a lot more. Whoop, hit the thing. My bad. Yeah, there was a lot more people that were. We got a lot of response, like, "Hey, y'all should talk about this," or "Hey, this meant a lot to me." To see people cutting it on their TV and playing it, and then sending us pictures of it, or playing it on their phone. We appreciate it. It means a lot because obviously it's going to be a lengthy climb. I mean, it's not like we're trying to make money or get famous off this or anything. This is strictly to help. But the fact that there's so much love already for us, it's eye opening, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, much love. Continue with the positivity. Saw a bunch of comments, that really appreciated our positive
absolutely.
outlook, and that's all we're trying to do is just bring a little bit of positivity to some pretty bad situations.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start this one off with maybe opening it up a little bit, maybe us being a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah.
Letting some people know, like, what are some things that you struggle with that you don't necessarily talk about all the time, but what's something that weighs on you mentally?
Well, I mean, anybody that knows me knows I have a temper problem, but the thing that, which I'm working on, but the thing that I would say I struggle with the most, that's more to me, this is going, because I'm in church and I'm a, born again Christian. I've had a lot of people that think that because I do that, my life is easier now. They think that because that's how I walk, they're like, oh, well, everything's easy because you just say, oh, I'm a Christian, I follow God, and somehow that's supposed to be magically easier, but it's actually quite the opposite. It's harder because
I could definitely see that.
like, I mean, you see, because I mean, we've grown up together. He's seen how I was before. He sees how I am now. We work together too, so we see each other more and more during the week. So he sees where I persevere, but then he also sees where I struggle at. So, like, for example, like I used to cuss like a sailor, and now, it's very rare that I do it, but sometimes that slips out just from old habits. And I think on that last episode when you had mentioned, give myself grace, because I still, even though born again Christian, I still fall into my sinful ways. And what I struggle with is I'm supposed to walk how Christ walked. And the fruits that I bear that other people see, I want to make sure that I'm always setting the right example and doing the best I can. And I fail a lot, and so I have a tremendous amount of guilt whenever I fail. So that's what I do. And the problem, and the thing is, when you fail, repent, ask God for forgiveness. But sometimes, it just kind of gets to where you're like, man, am I worth forgiving? Why, and so I could talk for hours on that. But sometimes I just struggle with giving myself the same grace that I would tell someone else to give themselves. God doesn't expect us to be perfect. He knows that we can't do it, on our own. We can't do it without him. So that's what I struggle with. I just struggle with, my, I struggle with my fleshly desires, or the way that, whenever I slip up. So
I mean,
that's something that's just more personal to me.
I could see where again, I'm not a very religious person, but I could see where that would be a little bit more difficult, because not only do you have the the struggles of day to day life, as everyone does, but whenever you choose to walk that walk, the light is a little brighter on you. I mean, unfairly, I guess, but you're held to a different standard because the book requires you to be, because that's the way you have to be if you want to
Right.
be that, versus someone else that doesn't have that burden on them to be perfect.
Right. And it's crazy because you're never the way it's, when you have the understanding of how it goes, it's really like you're not good. You're never going to be good. You're just supposed to try to be good, but you're going to fail because the man's heart's a wicked thing, a wicked place. With that being said, at first looking at it, it's like, well, that's easy. I will know that, I'm going to struggle, but I'm going to pray and I'm going to keep marching forward. But at first, it doesn't seem like it's hard. But again, the longer you do it, the harder it feels, the harder it seems, the more the guilt hits you because you're wanting to be something that you can't be without his help. So, that's just like I said, that's like a daily battle for me, in particular.
Yeah. I guess piggybacking off yours, my struggles that I would say that I deal with on a day to day basis would probably be putting unnecessary pressure on myself, because I need everything to be correct and right, and whether that's trying to set a schedule to be like I have to go to work and I have to put in X amount of hours to make X amount of money so I can have this done and this done, and then you come home and then you have to do your housework and you have to bring your kids to whatever extracurricular thing, and then it just kind of seems like
You got to be super dad.
yeah, but at the same time, it's I say that I put unnecessary pressure on myself, because it's not like when I walk in the door, my kids and my wife are looking at me like you're failing me.
Right.
So no one's asking me to do it. So I'm not 100% sure why that that I do it, because it's not like I'm being held by them to
Right.
do that. It's kind of like something that's just inside of me that I can't help it.
Yeah. That's also, I think that's also part of being a man. And when you're not the sole provider because, your wife provides just like you do, but you're the protector, you're the leader of your home, so there's a pressure that you're going to put on yourself. I get what you're saying. And sometimes that, I guess every now and then, it's like, yeah, you're like, yeah, there's no questioning that you're going to take on the responsibility. You're going to do it. It's just every now and then it's going to feel a little bit thicker than, the day before.
Right. And then I think also too, it's probably a little bit of the reason of not knowing why I'm that way, but I think that might just be like human nature as a man to have that expectation put on yourself,
Right.
because from a young age you're taught and told it's your responsibility to be the leader in all of those things. So it's maybe not society, maybe it's just the way that you were raised, or maybe it was, I don't know if it was a parenting thing, but you were valued at you need to be the leader. It's up to you to
Yeah.
make everything go. Because I know that when I look at it, I don't want, like I mentioned in the last video, I don't want that weirdness that I got going on. I don't want to put that on my kids or my wife, because
Yeah.
I don't know how. I mean, I know how I handle it. Do I handle it perfect? Probably not, but
Yeah.
I do. I feel like I do a pretty good job at juggling the things that I have to juggle. But I don't know how they would handle it if it was
Right.
solely on them.
I think it's that there's a maybe whenever when you're growing up and you're told, hey, when you get older, you got to do this. Hey, now that you're becoming a man, you got to do this. You got to get this right so you can be prepared to do this. Because one day you're going to have a family. One day you're going to have a wife. One day you're going to have a kid. You got to take care of this, take care of this. But the conversation never really comes of, hey, there's going to be a day after you get the wife and the kid where all these things that you have to take care of is going to feel very overwhelming.
Right.
And this is
No one really warns you.
no. And then so it's like, this is, no one says this is what you should do when that situation comes up. It's just more of be a man to handle it.
Rub some dirt on it.
Yeah. And it's not that we don't want to handle it. I think just after a while, you just don't realize how overwhelming it's going to be.
Right. I had a conversation with my stepdad this morning. Won't go into everything that we talked about, but he mentioned a good point. He made an analogy of, let's say there's a raging river that you have to swim across to go help your family, and they're on the other side. You're going to go upstream, you're going to dive in, you're going to go, and 100% of the time you're going to do it every time.
Right.
But how many times do you have to go across the raging river to save them? Because we're not superhumans. Eventually, after, every man's going to have their different breaking point at some point, whether it's 40 trips across the river or 100 trips across the river. At some point, every person's going to drown. You're not going to be able to continue to do it.
Or you'll have a day where you're like, man, I don't have it in me to swim today. I'm gonna try, but
Right. And then you're gonna fail. At some point, you're not gonna be able to do it consistently forever. But he mentioned that to me, and I didn't really have a response for him at that particular moment. But I thought about it, and I guess what makes that number grow exponentially is if the people that are on the other side of that river can understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, and see that you're giving it all you got. Just a little,
Yeah.
just a quick little.
we appreciate
I
it.
appreciate what
Yeah.
you're doing for me. Like, and again, that might not be a one size fits all, but for me, if you get that little bit of, we appreciate it, we see what you're doing, keep doing what you're doing. Like if my number was 67 and I'm on 64, and you tell me that, well, then my number just went to 85. It gave me more life.
Yeah.
So I would say that, having the people around you that you care about, having them there to give you that little bit of a pick me up, whenever, hey, look, man, I see you. I see what you're doing. I see you're going through it. It might not be just a relationship. That was just our conversation, but bringing that out between me and you. If I see you doing it, man, I see you struggling. You need something, call me. I'm always here for you. I think it's very important that you are surrounded by individuals that have that mindset, that know, like, hey, basically, hey, look, we're fighting the good fight. I know you're fighting. I'm fighting. He's fighting. They're fighting. We're all together here.
Yeah. I think you and I are both. I know you and I are both blessed with very good supportive wives that they acknowledge that.
Yeah,
But,
for sure. They definitely appreciate. Well, I can't speak for what happens at your house, but I know that for sure that my family definitely supports me.
Yeah, my wife does for sure.
But I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine being alone. Fighting the fight that I'm sure everybody's fight would be different, because if you were alone, you wouldn't have the added pressures of family and kids and wives. But I'm sure that the person that is alone it's got to be a scary place to be, because I know that there's times where I am surrounded by good friends and good family, and it's hard for me still
Yeah.
with that support system.
Right.
So for anybody out there that doesn't have a support system, hey man, reach out, text me, call me.
Yeah. Actually, that we can go ahead and just go right into what I had mentioned to you earlier, which is I think there's a lot of situations out there where there are some guys that, they're really cool guys. Then you got some guys that are, maybe some people would consider them to be not so cool, or however you'd want to describe them. But I know that with me and my man here, our relationship, like 25 years, I believe, with him by my side, as long as I've had him, I felt like that I can do anything because of the way that he builds me up, but the way that he also unbiasedly, by the way, will let me know when I'm slipping up. But at the same time, I know if at 3 in the morning, if I need him, he'll roll over and tell Raylan, "Hey, James needs me. I gotta go." And like, it's just no questions. He's just on the way. With that being said, I think there's a lot of men that feel very alone, that, or maybe just they're just going through some things that a relationship with another guy, a friend, like my son struggles, and I know that he doesn't have that. He has friends, but he doesn't have that friend like I have. And I was blessed. I've already met him 2 years younger than my son, and I know what it did for me. And it's the same, not just for kids, but grown men. When you got that person that that you can call up, or that can just be there for you. If you have the opportunity to be there for someone like that, and I mean, and of course it goes both ways, men and women, yada yada. But speaking just as a guy, I know that if I didn't have him, my I don't know how my route would have gone. He didn't dictate how my life went, but he definitely played a major part in it, and I would like to think that I played a part in his.
For sure.
So, you know, rather than being a guy that would knock another guy down, maybe the guy's a little socially awkward. Maybe the guy, maybe he's not socially awkward. Maybe he just doesn't know how to be around other people, in a public setting, or in a group gathering. It's way easier to it's easy to knock someone down, but I think it takes a hell of a man to be able to stand by another one and be like, hey fam, you ain't alone. I'll stand right here with you. I'll be, I can be that phone call. I can be that, do you need someone to hang out with? You need someone to talk with? I got you.
Right. And my I guess you call it my motto, or the way that I view those my life or these situations is I try to be the person that I want. Like if I'm going to treat you in the manner that I want to be treated.
Right.
Now whether you do it or not, that's solely up to you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be the person that I want to be to other people. And here we are. At some point in time, we had that same mentality,
Yeah.
years and years ago, and then here we are. And I try to instill that into my kids as they're the world that they're growing up in is a crazy, crazy place. Way crazier than it was whenever we were growing up.
Yeah.
But they're influenced by social media and the all these stars or whatever that are basically setting unrealistic expectations, kind of like me and you were talking about before.
Yeah.
But I make sure that I tell them every day, hey, if you see somebody at school that nobody else is talking to, well, you go out of your way to go talk to them. You don't
Right.
have to even sit there and hold a long conversation. I was like, hey, if there's a girl that's sitting by herself talking about my daughter, go up to her and say, hey, I like your hair. I like your book sack. I like your shoes. That's it. That's all you have to say. And then you
Yeah.
can have a good day. And that's it. And then,
And there's no telling what that may do for that little girl or that little boy, or it may do nothing for them, but the upside to that is, it's way worth it.
Right. There, and when you step outside of, because that's not always comfortable for everybody to approach a person that you don't really know, and you just see them sitting over there. You're like, they look kind of lonely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over there and say what's up for a second. So that takes courage on your part to do that. But like you said, that might be the only positive thing that kid hears all day,
Yeah.
and that one little thing could snowball into having took a bad day and turned it into a great day,
Right.
all over saying I like your shoes.
Yeah.
And like that literally took nothing from the person that went over there to give that effort. It cost you nothing. It was free.
Yeah.
And you may have changed their whole day.
Yeah.
So
Like he said it best. You know, be to someone else how you would want them to be to you.
right, for sure. That would change a whole generation if we could get every sixth grader on board with that.
Yeah.
That would be a good place to be at.
Yeah. Well, we had some comments. We had a few comments on our video.
Yeah, we did. We had one in particular. They went into a pretty detailed deal, and again, we appreciate you taking
Yeah.
that time to do that because we know you didn't have to. But we're just going to touch on a couple things that were brought up in the comment. They mentioned that more women attend colleges and universities, and it may be difficult for an uneducated man to find a partner. Explain to us, or explain why we think that's an issue.
Yeah. Now, real quick, the stuff that we read, the person that commented, they had some stats or percentages or whatever, and we're not gonna go. I'm not a fact checker. Yeah, if you're telling me this, I'm gonna.
We're literally just answering the
Yeah,
question.
yeah. I'm taking it at face value for what you're asking. So,
What's your take on that?
um,
On the uneducated men having a more difficult time. He also mentioned some things about having self-esteem issues.
as as far as uneducated men, did he say something about? Didn't he say something about uneducated men uh, not having the confidence to?
No, just self-esteem, having self-esteem issues that were, and also is the self-esteem issues coming from not attending college or being quote unquote educated?
Well, I can only speak on the things that I've seen, things I've been around, and my personal experience. I had no aspirations for college. I didn't care about college because all I ever wanted to do was play sports, be a professional wrestler, and I had a girlfriend. So I played sports. I had kids with that girlfriend, and then I later on in life became a professional wrestler. But I was introduced to money very early on, and the way that I got money was by getting a job. So I got a job. So I got out of high school and immediately went into working construction, which led to, I just did a bunch of blue collar work. And now I work for Coca-Cola now, which is probably the biggest company that I would say, well, it's definitely the biggest company I've ever worked for, but it wasn't, I mean, of course I had parents that wanted me to go to college. Like, you need to make good grades so you can get scholarships and go to college, but there was nothing that I wanted to do. And I honestly feel like most men or boys or whatever are like that. I mean, I can sit here now, a 35-year-old man, and go, man, I would love to be a marine biologist. I think that'd be cool. And but that wasn't what I was thinking about 18 years old in high school. Maybe, yeah, I should have been, but I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah, the priorities aren't always correct in a young male's life, and that's nobody's fault but our own. But we've all been a young boy, a young
Yeah.
man,
And then
and
when you're a young boy and you get a car and you get a cell phone, well,
you,
now you got bills at 18.
I mean, you know everything too. Nobody
Yeah.
can tell you anything.
No.
And but again, that could kind of play on a rougher road.
Yeah, exactly.
But then it's always you start off on that road with good intentions of you got out of high school when you started doing things, but all it takes is one or two decisions and the road to college is shut off forever.
Right.
Because the moment that you brought a kid into the world, you don't have time to go to college. You have time to pay these bills.
Yeah.
That's what you got time to do now. And that's nobody's fault but our own. But I mean, I guess my point on or my take on the self-esteem, college educated, I mean, what kind of educated are we talking about? Because
Right.
are we about to sit down and take a test on like algebra or science or something? Well,
Yeah.
then the person that probably went to the college is probably more educated. But are we about to go take the motor out of the car? Or
Yeah.
are we about to change the air conditioner?
Right. Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're not uneducated. I mean, like, yeah, I can't go do open heart surgery, but can that guy that can do open heart surgery, can he come fix this AC?
Right.
Because I can do that.
So
But you know,
I guess whenever you're going quote unquote educated, what is the test that
Yeah.
we're taking to say who's educated?
right.
And I think the only time that education would maybe fall into the self-esteem deal was if you were one of those people that had aspirations to be a doctor or a lawyer and then you got there and it didn't work out, then
Yeah.
I could see where that would affect your self-esteem moving forward from that point. But as far as just a blanket statement, like we talked about before we started, like it's much more difficult for a man to find a woman, period.
Yeah.
Regardless of education, regardless of confidence, regardless of self-esteem, it's way easier.
Yeah.
If a lonely female wants male connection, they could probably have it at their house within 10 to 20 minutes,
Right.
depending on how far away people live.
Yeah. Like we said before, most females could walk into a Walmart and just look up and go, I don't want to go home alone.
Somebody's going.
Yeah, somebody's going.
If a man does it,
Going to jail.
jail. That's
Yeah.
that's where you're going. But I mean, in all seriousness, I guess my take on self-esteem would, to me, I feel like your self-esteem, like we were talking about the kids a second ago, I feel like your self-esteem is more built on how your life was at 10 to 15. Are you confident at 15 and 10? Are you shy?
Yeah.
Are you involved in extracurricular activities? Are you always hanging out with people? Are you open? Are you the person that's sitting in the corner quiet with no friends? Like,
Right.
I mean, it's not that person's fault, but I feel like your self-esteem is more core valued in that area.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't have something happen to you along the way. Like we talked about, if the doctor tries to be a doctor and then fails and now his self-esteem is affected by it, there's always those situations. But generally, I think that around that age, your personality is pretty set.
Yeah.
And what you're going to be, how you're going to be. I mean, yeah, there'll be things where it'll change it, but I think you can kind of base it off of that. So,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I think that would be my take on that. More children building the self-esteem. So, yeah, that's pretty much all we had on that situation with the topic there.
Yeah.
I guess I'd like to say that I don't know if we said it in the first one. We may have. If not, I'm gonna say it again. This podcast that we're doing is definitely not to sit up here and point the finger and try to fix everybody else's lives, because I promise you that these two people sitting right here, our lives aren't perfect, and we have our own demons. We have our own trials and tribulations. We go through it every single day. It's difficult. It's actually wonderfully difficult
Yeah.
if you really think about it. But this is just as much for us as it is for anybody that's watching it. It forces us to get up here and sit with each other and talk about our problems and talk about what lives inside our heads. And,
Right. Because you want to talk about stepping out of a comfort zone or anything like that. I mean, we're putting this out for, to help everybody, but then we're putting us out there for, however many people choose to watch it. So, but I think that it's a good thing, and we're hoping that us putting ourselves out there, so is gonna help somebody else. Like I said, whatever, if we can get one person to go, man, this has helped me. Well, then, job well done.
A little bit of comfort, a little bit of hope, a little bit of you're not alone.
Right.
You know, you're not broken. It's not just you. It's everybody. Well, I say it's everybody. I don't know everybody, but everybody I know is going through something, and that's the main thing, man. If you watch this and you're sitting at home and there is nobody to talk to, there is nobody that you can call. Call me, text me,
Right.
because I mean all we're doing is trying to help.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to be that person that's sitting alone in the dark place that's scared and doesn't know what to do and life is closing in and I don't have any other option.
Right. If you don't want to call or text, light the comment section up.
Yeah.
We'll respond to you on there.
No doubt. That's pretty much the main message is let everybody out there know that they're not alone. We're not alone.
Right.
So got anything else you want to add?
No, I think I'm done for this evening. Let's go around.
Yeah. See you on the next one.
We love you. God loves you. Stay blessed.
Wonderfully difficult. Peace.